Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Dozens of Andros school children believed to be poisoned. That story is straight ahead.
A man is brought before the magistrate's court on 4 charges of murder and 7 charges of attempted murder.
Concerns of fires here at the city landfill could be a thing of the past, as millions have already been spent to get the issue under control.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquim. Topping news tonight, dozens of Andros High School students were airlifted to New Providence for medical attention today after reportedly suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. Authorities say a school bus was transporting the children to Central Andros High School when smoke from the exhaust entered the cabin of the bus. Jared Higgs has the details.
Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands says the children fell ill during a school trip. He says they all went to see the island doctor who put them on oxygen, but that supply ran out. That means the kids had to be airlifted to New Providence. Sands says 45 children from Central Andros High School are affected, with some in critical condition.
A number of those children started developing very serious symptoms of dizziness, chest pain. Some were going in and out of consciousness. These are symptoms typically thought to be due to carbon monoxide poisoning.
The remote nature of Andros communities means health officials had to request air ambulance and other air services to transport the students to New Providence.
We have just about exhausted all of the oxygen at Fresh Creek, even though we're trying to bring additional supplies in. We have therefore made a decision out of an abundance of caution to bring these children and one guardian, parent, to New Providence for appropriate management.
Our news captured the moment that several of the most severely affected students were transported from airplane to ambulance upon arrival at Odyssey Aviation. Those distressed-looking students had to be carried to the waiting aircraft by EMS personnel.
We can't take any chances with these kids.
Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas, factors that contribute to its deadly potential. Sands says if the teenagers stayed in Andros, there would be no way to say for certain what caused their illnesses.
We don't have a lab facility that could confirm that diagnosis in Andros.
Police released a statement saying that smoke from the bus's exhaust entered into the cabin of the bus, causing some of the students to fall ill. Sands says all 45 students were brought to New Providence out of an abundance of caution.
They can continue their oxygen therapy, and a determination made as to whether or not any of the children should have hyperbaric treatment.
Sands was asked about the status of the driver and any other adults on board.
Based on the information that we have, the driver is well.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
A woman is dead after police say she was stabbed to death outside of her home off St. Vincent Road last night. She was killed just 2 hours after a man was gunned down in Fox Hill. This hearse carries the body of a young mother who was stabbed to death through Emmanuel Way off St. Vincent Road around 7 last evening.
What we know at this time is that around that time, this woman was at her residence when a male known to her came here as a result of the conversation that they had. She was injured and he left the scene.
A nearby resident who didn't wish to speak on camera said he had only heard a commotion outside, then screams and what sounded like rocks being thrown at a car before it sped off. By then, the woman was lying in the road. Police combed the area in search of the suspect.
We're asking anyone who may know about this incident, who may have witnessed this incident, to give us a call, give us as much information as possible, and if they know where this young man who we were looking for is, to please give us a call so that we can take him into custody.
On scene, the woman's body lay in the cold tar road outside her home before eventually being placed in a body bag. Neighbors say the victim was seen outside with a man known to her moments before she was killed. Adult relatives who lived with her subsequently taken to CDU for questioning. This latest killing came 2 hours after a man was murdered in Fox Hill.
Shortly before 5 p.m., a group of men were standing at Fig Tree Court and Dorset Street in Fox Hill when the occupants of a Dodge truck pulled up, opened fire in their direction, hitting one of them. The injured man was transported to hospital and he succumbed to his injuries.
78 people have been murdered in the Bahamas so far this year. Superintendent Knoll says despite these 2 killings, the streets of New Providence are still safe and police will continue to be out and about.
But know that the police are out on the street. Every available officer that we have is out on the street, ensuring that the public is safe and trying to alleviate the fears of those in our community.
Drama unfolded outside the magistrate's court today as a man charged with multiple murders and attempted murders was escorted in the court. The man's family members clashed with relatives of the victims. Jillian Gray reports.
They lying! They lying! They lying!
25-year-old Travis Davis of Labour Street was brought before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, charged with 4 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. While walking into court, supporters of the accused shouted freedom, while family members of the victims shouted obscenities to the suspect.
Freedom, bro! Bro, you're the best boy! Trust me! You're the best big nobody. You get me, brother. Boy, listen to me, boy. I'm riding a real
A fight then broke out between Davis's loved ones and relatives of the victims. The scuffle could be heard from inside the courtroom. It is alleged that Davis caused the death of Marcus Sweeting, Dwight Miller, Jimmy Augustin, and Franklin Roll. According to police reports, Sweeting was gunned down in Pinewood Gardens, Roll was gunned down in Fox Hill, and Miller and Augustin were both shot and killed on Key West Street. The murders all took place within hours of each other on September 6. Davis became emotional as the magistrate read the charges. He told her, and quote, "They lying on me." She paused to give him a tissue, then proceeded to read the 7 attempted murder charges. Davis is charged with attempting to cause the death of Portia Smith, Alvin Sanders, Nestor Mackey, Jeronique Roberts, Tavia Brown, Everett Richardson, and Jarrett Smith. The incidents all allegedly took place on September 6. Davis was not required to enter a plea, and Magistrate Ferguson Pratt placed him on remand. His attorney, Philip Hilton, requested that the court place his client in protective care, as he said the charges levied against him may result in retaliation from various gangs. The magistrate said she had no authority to direct the commissioner of the prison, but would bring it to his attention. Davis will return to court for a voluntary bill of indictment on December 11th. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. Jonathan Ashe was back on the stand at the Shane Gibson trial for the 3rd consecutive day as he continued to be questioned by lead defense attorney Keith Knight, QC. The Jamaican attorney hammered Ashe on the role he played in Gibson's re-election campaign ahead of the May 2017 general election and a meeting he attended with an investigator and the woman he claims he paid bribes to. Jasmine Brown has a report.
Primary prosecution witness Jonathan Ashe testified in front of a packed courtroom full of former PLP cabinet minister Shane Gibson's family and supporters. In court today, Knight pored over WhatsApp messages between Ashe and Gibson. Those messages were displayed for the court on a large television screen. Knight first pointed to photos Ashe sent to Gibson while he was doing cleanup work in the Golden Gates constituency. One of those photos was a pile of damaged shingles. Knight asked Ashe the purpose of sending Gibson the photo. Ashe told the court the shingles were of a photo of some of the pro bono cleanup work in Gibson's former constituency. Ashe had previously testified that Gibson had asked him for shingles in February 2017, which he said was code for money. Knight asked Ashe if he had ever delivered shingles for roof work, to which he responded he could not recall. Knight then produced December 2016 WhatsApp messages between Ashe and a client asking about picking up 29 pallets of shingles from the Betty K dock. Ashe told Knight he had clients for his customs brokerage business. He said just because someone requested a service, that didn't mean he had to do it. Knight then suggested to Ashe that he was lying when he said shingles refers to money. Ashe fired back by saying, "Yes, it has a lot to do with money because I made the first $25,000 payment on Bahamar Boulevard and the second payment of $25,000 on Gladstone Road. I was in a blue Ford truck." Ashe also told the court that during the time he says he was paying bribes to Gibson and Deborah Bastian, he was not doing any roof work and he was only cleaning up debris left by Hurricane Matthew. He said, "If I was doing roof work, I would have said I have shingles for your roof." Knight then pointed out to Ashe that his June 2017 signed statement to police indicated Gibson asked about shingles in March 2017, and the WhatsApp conversation indicated the conversation about shingles was in February 2017, to which Ashe replied, "Okay." The focus of Knight's questioning then shifted to Ash's role in Gibson's re-election campaign ahead of the May 2017 general election. Knight highlighted several photos Ash sent to Gibson of his workers erecting campaign billboards bearing Gibson's image ahead of the general election. Knight questioned why Ash would help Gibson, who is the former Golden Gates MP, campaign if he was paying bribes to Gibson. Ash first responded by saying it was a favor. After being asked several times by Knight if he wanted Gibson to win the general election, Ash first said he wanted to help the PLP win before he agreed that he wanted Gibson to win his seat. However, he said he didn't think Gibson would win. As Knight's cross-examination wound down, Knight began asking about a September 2017 meeting he confirmed he attended at CDU with his lawyer, Deborah Bastian, her attorney, and police investigator Deborah Thompson. Knight repeatedly asked if the purpose of that meeting was to change their statements so that they would be synchronized. Ash responded by saying that was not the purpose of the meeting. Knight then asked Ash if ASP Thompson wanted Bastian and Ash's statements to be in agreement. Ash responded by saying, "I can't speak for her. I can't talk to that." When asked by Knight to explain what happened during that meeting, Ash said Thompson wanted the truth. Gibson is facing 15 counts of bribery concerning his alleged conduct from mid-January 2017 to the end of March 2017. According to the indictment, Gibson asked for $330,000 and received $280,000 in bribes from Ash during that time period to speed up payments owed to Ash. Ash is expected back in court to testify on Monday morning. Reporting for R News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Still to come, the Environment Minister tours the New Providence landfill. The details after this break.